Now the tide bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved. Now the tide bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved. Now the tide bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down.
Alrighty guys, and welcome back to another episode of Dying Railroad Towns here. Today we are looking at Edwardsville, Illinois. There has been no other railroad town that I know of that has been hit harder with abandonments than this. Salem, Illinois was hit somewhat hard with abandonments, but if you thought Salem, Illinois was bad, just wait till you see Edwardsville, Illinois. It's even worse. Edwardsville, Illinois consists of Edwardsville, Illinois used to consist of 4 different railroad lines, and now today only one of them remain. And that one that's still left in service is the Norfolk Southern Brooklyn District, formerly owned by the Wabash. The Norfolk Southern Brooklyn District, though, only gets 6 to 8 trains a day, just like the Southwest. Edwardsville, Illinois even used to have a busy railroad junction called LeClaire Junction. However, though, 3 of the railroad tracks that ran through Edwardsville, no, 2 actually, have been turned into bike paths, and the 3rd one was just torn off because it went out of service. Anyways, the other 3 lines were a former Illinois Terminal line, which is now a bike path, Nickel Plate Road, which also became a bike path, and then the Union Pacific Madison subdivision, former Chicago and Northwestern, which has just been ripped out. That line is still active from Barr, Illinois to Nelson, Illinois, but it is completely gone in Edwardsville, Illinois, as the line had shut down in Halloween of 1998. Edwardsville has been hit very hard with abandonments. You thought Salem was bad, just wait till you see how bad Edwardsville is. So this photo here was taken in Edwardsville, Illinois. This is a 3-way meet. This is actually a train yard, but it is very, very tiny. This is Norfolk Southern Citation Train Yard. This used to be a former Triple Crown terminal back in the days. There are still Triple Crown trains that run on the Norfolk Southern 255 and 256. It's just this former terminal is no longer in use. Some days trains and freight cars will be stored there, but Citation Yard still remains open so far. But it looks like from here it's not get very much business. So, here is a list of southbound trains that ran on the Brooklyn District. This was as of 2012. However, though, only 31N, 301, 181, 21T are the only southbound trains that run on the Brooklyn District as of 2021. And then here are the northbound trains. This was also as of 2012, but today, though, the only trains that run on here now that are northbound as of 2021 are 30N, 256, 20T, and 302. There is also an as-needed local that does run on the Brooklyn District, and I think the symbol for that is D27. Now then, I could be wrong about that because my knowledge on the NS Brooklyn District is a little bit rusty. I've spent way more time on the Southwest District, unfortunately. There are also as-needed and extra trains as well. Most as-needed trains on the Brooklyn District are coal trains like 430 and 431, 402, 403, 404, and 405 are some as-needed coal trains. So as of 2021, there are only 8 daily trains on the NS Brooklyn District. And with extras and as-neededs running around, of course, it could go up to 10 or a little over on good days. But back then, though, I'd say the Brooklyn district maybe had 15, 20-ish on good days, maybe. I'm still not 100% sure on that. Alright, so now let's take a look at the bike paths of Edwardsville, Illinois. Every single bike trail that you see in Edwardsville was formerly a railroad track. Like right here to the left on this concrete block is an old milepost of the Illinois terminal. And the bike path that you see right here on your screen is exactly where the Illinois terminal line once ran. Here's another photo of the bike path. Right there, as you can see, is an old water tower of the former Illinois terminal. You can also see what was once an old railroad power line to the top right of the photo. There is still some evidence that this once was a railroad track, like water towers, old power lines, and concrete block mileposts. I have absolutely no information on the nickel plate line, but I do have a little bit of information on the Illinois Terminal. The Illinois Terminal's line's name was the Illinois Terminal East St. Louis subdivision, I believe, because this line used to run to East St. Louis, and it would also run right through Lenox Tower in Mitchell, Illinois. It would also run in Decatur, which is also a dying railroad town, which we will eventually get to in another episode. As a matter of fact, about the nickel plate line, there is photos of where it once used to be, but I could not find a single known footage or picture of a train in Edwardsville from the nickel plate road. All there ever was is just NS, UP, and Illinois Terminal. No footage or pictures of the nickel plate road, but there are still remains in the bike path, like right here. That concrete block right there is an old nickel plate road milepost sign. And over here is another former Illinois Terminal concrete block milepost sign. Someday when I do get the chance to, I will probably visit the Edwardsville bike paths and see if I can find any other remains of where the lines once used to run. And then right here is an aerial view of what I believe was also the Illinois Terminal, as we are right outside of Edwardsville, Illinois. However, though, this bike path does look pretty old and it looks like it's almost not used at all, but I don't really know. At one point, Edwardsville actually had a train station as well. The track has been ripped off, as you can see, but I'm assuming that at one point, Edwardsville actually had passenger trains, which I bet they were passenger trains to St. Louis. Edwardsville is near St. Louis, close to the Metro East area. But anyways, those are some photos right there of the bike paths and stuff where the Nickel Plate Road and the Illinois Terminal used to run. And now it's time to take a look at some actual trains that once ran in Edwardsville. Illinois Terminal Jeep 2302 is seen leading a mixed freight by LeClaire Junction in the early 80s, and if you look closely to the left, you can see what I am assuming was part of the tower that once stood at LeClaire Junction to control trains. And here's another look at LeClaire Junction. This was taken in 1981, and boy, look at that lash up. That, my friend, is 7 locomotives with a Jeep, a high hood, 2 switchers, another Jeep that's not a high hood, another Jeep, and another switcher. That right there is 7 locomotives pulling this train, but this is an Illinois Terminal mixed freight at LeClaire Junction, and as you can see, it looks like it is crossing over the Nickel Plate Road at the Diamond, and to the very, very left, you can see boxcars sitting there, almost like there used to be a connection track. With this photo right here, it is possible that Nickel Plate Road and Illinois Terminal once used to interchange cars with each other. Kind of like how the UP and the EWR interchange cars in Mount Vernon. Edwardsville was once a pretty busy spot. Not all the tracks ran together though. If you wanted a rail fan on all 4 of these lines, you'd have to drive around a lot. LeClaire Junction is where the Illinois Terminal and the Nickel Plate Road line had ran. But if you want to go to the NS, you have to go out to Wanda Road, which is right outside of Edwardsville, but it's still in Edwardsville. And then the Union Pacific Madison sub did not run near LeClaire Junction either. So if you wanted to catch trains on all four lines, you'd have to drive around a lot and use up some gas in your tank. So then right here, this is the Union Pacific Madison sub, the C&W train in Edwardsville, Illinois. Chicago and Northwestern formerly owned the Union Pacific Madison sub, I believe. The line is still active further in northern Illinois, but the track in Edwardsville is completely torn out. And unfortunately, I cannot find where it once rested at. If any of you can let me know a street of where it once used to be at in the comments section, go ahead and tell me, and I might just consider going over there and exploring the remains of Edwardsville when it once used to be a busy railroad town. This here is the newest photo that I could find of the Union Pacific Madison sub. Now I know the gates look brand new and stuff, but don't let that fool you though. I don't know why they did that, but this was right before the tracks were about to go out of service. The Union Pacific Madison sub was busier than ever, per a guy from Railroad Picture Archives. He says that the line was shut down in early Halloween of 1998. When Chicago and Northwestern had this line, there was an original name to it. It was known as the SI line, but once Union Pacific merged with Chicago and Northwestern in 1995, UP quickly renamed the SI line the Madison Subdivision. And for the following 3 years, the company did not have much traffic over the route. It was just mainly empty coal and grain trains headed to Nelson to access the C&W Chicago Omaha racetrack. The Madison sub did feature solid infrastructure and high-speed running. However, though, there was a lack of sidings and no signalized traffic. And the Madison sub quickly came under the observation of Union Pacific. The Surface Transportation Board, or STB, had given permission for Union Pacific to abandon the Madison subdivision, and the line was torn up from Madison all the way to Barr. There is not much left of that line. There's almost nothing left. There's nothing left in Edwardsville, that line at all. So what exactly is the reason for the Madison subdivision to go out of service like that? Well, Union Pacific had made a third parallel route, which was known as the SPC-SL, which was a line that ran between St. Louis and northern Illinois. This line is what had killed the Madison subdivision, because Union Pacific had built a connection from the SPC-SL to the Illinois and Midland Railway, and it was able to obtain trackage rights to run over the I&M for a few miles. Construction for the new connections began in 1996, and then that's when STB had given permission to abandon the line in 1998. So yeah, that's a little summary right there of Edwardsville, Illinois. The Union Pacific Madison sub was once busier than ever, and the Illinois terminal and the Nickel Plate Road I'm just completely not sure about. But yeah, Edwardsville, once with 4 lines and now just down to 1 line barely active, and that's the Norfolk Southern Brooklyn District. And this here is a latest photo of an NS train taken in Edwardsville, Illinois. This was taken in January of 2021. Anyway guys, that is it for today. This railroad town was hit extremely hard with abandonments. If it wasn't for the SPCL line that Union Pacific had built, the Madison subdivision probably could have still been in service today. But this has got to be one of the saddest railroad towns in history that I've ever heard about. And I'm really kind of speechless. But anyways, that's it for today, guys, and thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe, and more of these episodes to come out soon.